And you can do that in a rather small tray. I mean, I know a number of people that use like a baking pan. Like you might do like to make a sheet cake or something like that. You spout them in that and get them going, and just put that out for your chickens in the coop, and they'll just gobble it up. So.
Also doing deep nest bedding. If you use like hemp bedding, like we saw in the pool. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can. Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm getting feedback from it. Practicing deep nest bedding is really helpful to trapping heat as well. And the hemp bedding I know is really good for that because it also eliminates odors.
We've got a question from Brad Howder.
Shout out to Brad Howder.
Hello, Brad. Brad would like to know how much airflow is too much during the winter.
I guess in anything that might be considered an open type of a window, open door, something like that would be, too much. It also depends on where you're located. Like if you are located someplace like Illinois, it would be just a venting. You'd probably be better off with just a vent type of situation. I guess to me, below where they might be, because if they're roosting high, you don't want them in like a direct crosswind. But if you're like further south, it doesn't really matter so much. So.
For the chicken tractor that my family has, it has the main door that's to the outside of the pen, and then it has an inner door, which is to the coop house itself. And if we're ever concerned that they're not getting enough ventilation or anything at night, we'll leave that door cracked about a half inch, just so there's some airflow in there. But that's really, the way that their box is built, it gets pretty good ventilation. So we're not too worried about that.
And then during the winter, if you're making your own coop situation, you want to go make your own coop, you want to make sure that you use that their roost is like a wooden product or a plastic or something. You don't want to use metal, because metal will get extremely cold and your chickens will get frostbite on their feet. And so you want to try to keep that out of the crosswind as much as possible, if that is, Another important reason why to keep your chickens out of the crosswind, especially if they're in it, is if you do have if it gets too cold, they'll get their comb will get burned. They'll freeze. That's ugly for a while. That will grow out, but it's ugly for a while. But that'll grow out.
I can't hear Brad. Hey. Usually he would. Hey, there's Pat.
Yes, thank you.
There she is.
Welcome to the party. Better late than never.
Yes, quite a party. Yeah, you get that. It was an amazing platform. All the things we've been talking about have been really good. There we go. Okay.
Have to get a little more audio on Pat. A little more volume.
I had my
That's better. Much better.
Oh, here we are. What's drafts? You were talking about how much airflow is too much, and one of the things, if I can just add 2 cents on that, there was a study done in Idaho, and it came out with the open air chicken houses, and what they found is chickens are far more tolerant to cold, but they're not tolerant to drafts. And how much draft is too much would be a good question, but we all know the wind chill factor, and when the wind chill factor gets very low, and especially the humid wind chill factor, chickens they don't tolerate that very well at all. And guineas don't either, I'm finding out. So I just wanted to add that in. But you won't ever ventilation, you don't want to especially the roosting is going to be during the day. And they're harder than we think. They can withstand lower temperatures than we think they can. According to everything I've read, it's been
I got most of that, and I think I understood the question. I think we're going to have to get Pat over here to our studio in Waynesboro, because the Lexington connection's a little slow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I couldn't hear much of what she said from here. I can hear you too, but I couldn't hear Pat.
Saying that the chickens do not handle draft very well. They handle the cold very well, but in a direct draft, they don't prosper that well during the wintertime. And so it's important just to make sure that they do get there is fresh air in there, because a lot of times they are going to be, especially during winter situations, they're going to be cooped up. I'm trying to get some quotes in there. I can't even cooped up. But so there's a greater chance that there could be some sort of respiratory problem. So you want to make sure that there is fresh air in there, but you don't want any type of draft on them. Like I said, a chicken can handle some pretty cold weather. They're designed to do that. So God
Can you hear me now?
You're coming in clear, Pat, but it's still, the volume's still low for you, Anya.
Can I turn my volume up here?
Whoop.
Oh, Pat just signed off.
No,
There she goes. No,
Jillian signed
Jillian.
up. Goodbye.
Jillian went. So I think he answered Brad's question, and he also wanted to know if he should seal up the cracks, which I think he should do anyway. Just for an activity, he can work on something, work on his coop.
Get his cock gun out.
Can you hear me, Bill? Yeah.
I can hear you.
Sure, but not loud. So I could,
But,
I think one of the big problems with especially these manufactured coops is they're too airtight. They don't have enough ventilation, so you end up getting really high humidity. And some of them are so tight they're like coffins. And you put 4 or 5 birds in there in a small space, they heat up way too much, and they lose their. They're too hot. So I'd like to see a lot more ventilation up in the draft, not the rafters, the apex of the roof, just to be able to. They have many ventilators that work really well, and I think that would help keep the flock a lot healthier. It would keep the condensation down, and it would keep respiratory problems down.
The central fire, it's in repairs and maintenance.
that sounds great. That makes sense. So, Kev, I don't know if you can you see Brad? Brad's getting all these questions. He's got a ton of questions piling up.
Cool.
Can you see his newest question down there? He wants to surround his coop with hay bales and put a tarp over it. But he's concerned about losing sunlight.
It all, like I say, it all depends on your coop. In a lot of ways, if you feel that your coop is watertight and it has a good roof on it, you don't need to cover it with a tarp. If you are not confident with your construction of your coop, then it might not be a bad idea to cover it with a tarp. You want to make sure you probably tie that down pretty tight. Put some cinder blocks on the edge of it, and certainly. If you are concerned about, predation during the winter, you can line it with some square bales around the edges of it. But in general, like I say, it's a little airflow is not bad in the coop. Like I say, chickens are very hardy animals, and that so like you want some. You don't want to make it too tight. But as far as the tarp on the roof, if your roof leaks, yes, you want to get a tarp on there. So sunlight dangerous. No, not necessarily turning off the sun. I'm sitting here reading a trade-off of sunlight dangerous for the birds, because generally there's probably not a whole lot of sunlight that's going to be getting into your coop, unless you have a windows or on there in some way. So what did we got? Okay, there. I'm watching. I thought there was smoke coming up out of Jillian's screen there, but no, that's little pictures.
That's Chris giving her lots of kudos. He's applauding. He's joined. He raises chickens, so I'm not sure where Chris is from. I know Brad's out there in the icy hinterland of Indiana, where the Arctic clippers blow.
What if I tarp over the run? What if I tarp over the run? That's what I meant. But coop.
He wants to create a chicken tunnel.
Certainly, yeah. You can. Yeah, it all depends. Like I say, you can certainly tarp over the run, especially if you're expecting some really bad weather, in the sense of like snow, or something like that. Because you want your chickens to get out, and as much as possible during the weather. So if you do tarp out the run, give them the ability to get out of the coop and peck around and stretch their legs. That's fantastic. So yeah, that's just fine to tarp the outside of it. Generally, because especially if you're just going to do the roof section, then there will be sunlight that comes in from the sides.
So Jillian, one of the topics you covered the other day in the education center class was about hydration and food and how to manage that.
Basically, with our culture, we found that they drink more if we gave them warmer water and
you have a call on hold. To return to the call, press to transfer this call to an extension.
You're going in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Might need to get you to yell a little bit more. Yell like you're trying to get Kevin's attention.
Okay.
As Chris says here, I hear Kevin talking through Patricia's box. Lots of feedback.
Lots of feedback. I might not pat off and see if we can try that again.
I'm going to try it through my phone as well and see if that's a better connection also.
You sound good there.
You sound just fine.
No, it sounds fine? Okay.
So Brad's curious about visible signs of stress and signs of frostbite.
You want to go ahead? Frostbite, like I say, the cones will turn black right there along the top. That basically you can tell it turns black, and so that's frostbite. And then as far as stress, stress is often shown by picking feathers, and chickens will show that the stress. You do need to try to be wary of the fact that during the winter that with snow and different things, there can be a lot more moisture out on the ground, and that is a good breeding ground for coccidiosis. So it's always good if you can try to keep some sort of bedding, or like I say, if you do put the tarp over the top of your run, that's good because that'll try to keep some of the moisture out of there. Because it's good weather for that. A cool, moist climate, that's perfect for coccidiosis for your chicken.
Especially to also keep watching for respiratory issues that might develop, whether it be, their eyes might be closed or something like that, or their mouths. Usually they have like this wrap that they do that can develop if you're not keeping tabs on your litter in your hen house. Ammonia can develop really fast, even over the winter, especially with as you're trying to keep it warmer. It's important if you're cleaning out your coop, certain times a week, etc. You should go in to get it their level, and if you can smell ammonia, that's what they're living in. So it's important to keep that down too to avoid respiratory issues.
So Chris has a couple of questions. If you guys can, I don't know if you can read them down there. I can voice them as well if you like.
I believe that Jillian is an expert on bumblefoot.
That's a really cool thing to have to take care of. It's hard because with bumblefoot, it can be due to a number of different issues. Some people say nutritional, others say it's a staph infection that they pick up if they scratch their foot on a sharp object in their pen. And with bumblefoot, the best thing you can do is to take, it's manual. You have to take their feet and like a salt solution. And if you see like a scab developing on the bottom of the foot, you have to open that up, and there's what's called inside the foot that's developing, and that causes the bumblefoot. So you have to take out all of those pieces of the kernel and then cleanse it with an iodine solution and then wrap the foot with gauze, and then that wrap is really effective at keeping other dirt and things out. So it's kind of a complicated process, but it usually takes only about 20 to 30 minutes to fix. And then just continuously keeping it clean over the next few days as the hen heals.
To go up on one question there about I guess water and the whether to have water directly outside or water inside. If it's easy to get the water inside, to me, the chickens will create a little more heat while they're in there, so there's probably a less likely chance that it'll freeze on you. But during seriously cold weather, you're just going to have to be, often changing the water because it's going to freeze on you. You want to make sure that your chickens always have fresh water, and so more than likely, if the water is inside the coop, there's going to be less cross drafts, so there's a lesser chance of it freezing on you. I guess someone's getting a turkey in a few days. There's the thought I think it's blackhead is a turkey disease, but if it's going to be there just for a couple of days, if the turkey arrives, it looks like it's in great health. More than likely, there probably won't be a problem. I wouldn't worry a whole lot about it. If the turkey looks healthy, I mean, like I said, if you're concerned, keep them separated because he's not going to be around much longer.
I would also monitor the behavior. And turkeys can be more domineering than other poultry.
That's a little psychedelic.
Let's see here. I've been using the whole grain layer in place of scratch in early afternoon because I'm still hatching. I don't want to lower the total protein too much. Would there be any warming properties in that? There would be, in the sense that they're going to be eating that whole corn. That's just a big chunk of starch is what a whole corn is. So, in particularly, if you notice that your chickens are eating the whole corn before anything else, certainly that's going to increase the starch content. Cool. I've done it before. Let's see what I see.
Oh, there's a goat question.
No, there's a goat question.
So this is one that Kevin and I somewhat disagree on, but also we've talked about this before. I personally don't. I've always followed that chickens can follow goats, but goats should not follow chickens if they're milking animals, just because Campylobacter is a bacteria that can cross over into the milk. But a lot of people do it, and a lot of people don't have problems with it. So it's sort of your own choice as far as what you want to mix. Goats and chickens get along great. My mom found one of our missing chickens sleeping with the buck just a couple weeks ago. She had escaped from the pen and she was in the buck house. So they get along fine, but it's mainly just a management thing. If you're staying on top of your management program and keeping things clean, it's not usually a problem. But if you're interested in ever becoming, or ever doing dairy sales and having to be certified for that, that's when you have to keep it. That's kind of where I stand on it. If you're interested in doing a dairy, and you're going to be selling milk or selling cheese, then that's probably not the best idea to have them together. For one reason, you're more than likely you're going to be inspected, and here is VDAX. If the VDAX inspector comes out and he sees your goats are all living, the chickens are all living with the goats, they're not going to be very happy about that. But generally, for what I call a homesteading situation, are there risks? There are, but they're not a lot of them. So. What I meant by management program is just your cleaning program, staying on top of your animals' health and their pen situations. So routine cleanings just to keep down any bacteria or coccidia problems, etc. If you're routinely cleaning, you typically don't have many health problems because you're getting rid of the chance for any of that to build up on your farm.
Back to the water in the coop. No, I don't think that the water that from putting the water inside is going to create enough moisture to cause some form of a frostbite. I don't see that happening. So that's just that's my thought. So now I've got oh, look at that, a sign. I should get a bigger sign. So no, I don't, like I said, I don't think that the moisture coming off there, because basically wintertime is a dry environment anyway. The air is not going to hold a lot of moisture. So
if you are in a colder area where you're concerned that the water will still freeze, As long as the birds have access to fresh, non-frozen water throughout the day.
You want to join the video corral?
That's just Bill talking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But
Doesn't realize you can hear him.
if you give him water first thing in the morning and last before you close them at night and make sure that they've had access to it all day, usually they'll be fine overnight as well. So it's sort of your own choice. We tend to bring the water inside at night so it doesn't freeze. And we've never had a problem, but I know plenty of breeders who also put the water inside the coop and they've never had issues either. So.
And you can add, during the winter, you can add a little extra, some vitamins or minerals to the water. You can drop a little electrolytes, anything like that that might help them out during the time. A little bit of vinegar if you think that there is a lot of moisture, or you put the little garlic tabs, and, crush those up, put those in the water. You put a little sugar in the water. Sugar will provide more energy for them. There's extra little things that you can use in the water to try to provide help them out during the winter also. I'm building a chicken tractor this year for a garden. Are there any big items to be cautious of as I put this together? Anything to make sure I include?
A lot of feather netting.
With your chicken tractor, you want to make sure that it is well protected from predators as you move it around. So there's generally your chicken tractor is going to have to be able to move. So it's going to be on wheels, or you're going to have to drag it, or something like that. But so when you got to make sure that wherever you stop it at, that there's not the possibility that something can get under it, or if it's actually just a free open one, you want to make sure that that you provide some sort of electric netting possibly around it for protection. That works incredibly well.
Yeah, Brad's got to clear a lot of land, so he needs some feather netting and a portable coop so he can let those girls go out there and tear off the old grass. He needs to. I think he's ready for a garden this next spring, isn't he?
I think so. It probably wouldn't hurt to set that thing up over by like a large manure pile, and let those chickens get over there and work in that pile to kind of scratch around and pick through the manure and different things. Because that being over there next to that manure pile, or if you turn it, also that's a compost pile that will also generate a lot of heat. And a lot of heat is going to be helpful for the chickens during the time because they can get over there. If the compost is really working, it'll keep a lot of snow and bad weather will stay off that compost, and that'll give them an open place to actually get out and do what chickens do: scratching, pecking, and looking around for things. I mean, you can even entice them a little bit by just throwing out some corn in there and make them get in there and work that pile for you. Get some air in there, making good compost that can be used in your garden, that can be used on your fields. So.
Electric net fencing is really helpful too because you can use one box to power 7 different fences. So it's a pretty big area and it's pretty effective. We've used electric net fencing for our birds and we haven't had hardly any losses in the last several years.
And yes, you can, like I said, you can use the water as a supplementation for electrolytes. That's probably one of the easier ways to make sure that you're getting certain types of nutrition. That the chickens are always going to be drinking the water, so you can put in like a little bit of a salt, a little sea salt, provides that just a tiny bit. You don't want to put a lot in there, just a tiny bit. Like I said, you can put a little vinegar, you put a little bit of garlic, and you put sugar in there. Sugar will create energy for your chickens also.
Sounds like there's another question on heat, 9-week-old chicks being moved, and it's 30 degrees at night. I don't know what your thoughts are, Kevin, about using heat lamps. I know some people don't like using them because it can be a fire hazard. Others prefer using them just to measure. And then there's also like heat blankets that you can put in there as well to like line the house with. There's a number of different options you could do for that if you're concerned about them getting too cold. It's more
waterproof heating pad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they now make if you have electricity out there, they make it's almost like a little electric heating table so that it'll rise up and gets a little higher, so the chickens can get under there and move around under it. So it's kind of like like a radiant heat from above, and it never gets hot enough to cause any type of fire. But the heat lamp is a pretty dangerous thing in a lot of ways, because if it falls or comes loose or gets knocked down and it hits that bedding, things can go sideways pretty quickly. So. Let's see here. We free range during the day in the winter while predators have limited food supply. Should we keep them in the run? Not necessarily. Like I say, generally it's if you let them run around during the day, the chickens are pretty good about, when it starts to get dark, they're heading back to the house. So there's probably not a whole lot of difference in the amount of danger that right now than in the spring or summer. Because you got to figure that also a lot of times during the spring and the summer, you may have animals that are looking to feed their young, and there's nothing a mother fox likes to do is to bring a chicken home to the kids. So generally they're already out, and so it's pretty safe to have them out during the day during the wintertime. I didn't want to use the heat lamp, but the other idea. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So yeah, like I say, you can go to I can't think of the name of the store, but they have it's just basically it'll raise up. You can turn the little screws, and it just gets a little higher, and the little chickens can get up under there. But at 9 weeks old, they're getting pretty. They should be getting pretty stout, pretty sturdy. So. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Question on
There we go. This is a message from New Country. So. Hello.
Oh, good.
Andrea joined in. So and Steve joined in, and Dr. Gonzalez Copia joined. So hello to you all. I'm just for need for help on chickens and garden goats, soon bees. Yep, like I say, bees are an excellent thing to get into. They don't require a whole lot of work in the very beginning, and especially if you're going to be trying to do a lot of your things yourself or trying to create your own supers. There's a lot of carpentry involved in that. But there's so many companies out there that you can buy everything ready-made and put it together. Yeah, bees are integral. And anything that you can do to promote them is good for the environment and good for future generations.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
That his wife's concerned about bees stinging the horses.
Right, and I'm saying that this one is still
Yeah,
different than
Yeah.
all the rest of the ones going to Florida.
What were you going to say?
Question
Kinda lost
about my wife is concerned
Another
with stinging the horses,
thing that
and
Florida,
no,
we were charged
that's not going to happen.
86.
That's the end of that. unless the horses get out, I always got to give. There's always a caveat. Unless the horses get out and they start to bother the beehive, then the bees will become defensive and they will defend themselves. So
Well, I know.
then
we have
they're
one
not going
race
to
in the state of
go. They're not going to go horse hunting.
Distance, but he's
I would say 10 feet for the hives.
Pretty much bees are like I say, they're pretty amazing animals. Even if like I say, 10 feet, if they will become accustomed to what's around them, and so that's why there are some. Bees can smell and have the senses just like anything else, and that's why some beekeepers don't even they don't even wear any clothing. They may wear something over their head, but in general, if you walk over and be there, the bees will almost recognize you for who you are and know that you bring no harm to them. So
Maybe it's just me, but you painted an unusual picture there. Just the hat.
Just a hat with the hat with a little thing, that thing. That's kind of that. So.
Oh, Brad's got a good question about our layer feed.
Go ahead. Okay.
that for Jillian?
Certainly, yeah.
He says, I'd heard if I feed the layer feed, I don't need to add oyster shells to the run. Is that correct? Does it change at all in the winter months? The feed is fully formulated to meet their needs. However, it is good to offer free choice oyster shell just because some birds have a higher nutritional requirement than others for calcium. It varies by the animal. Just like my nutritional needs will vary from my neighbors. You know, they might need a little bit more than the others. So having that free choice, if they need it, they have the ability to go to it and get it. So that just helps with their egg production, making sure that they're not pulling calcium from their bones and their own source, but they're getting it extra through their feed. It also acts as a source of
always,
which is good.
Just having some extra on hand. They'll if they need it, it's there for them. They can go to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Well, what do you think? It's our first run at this. Should we do it again?
I guess he has one more question. What's the biggest mistakes rookies make? And it's the same mistake about any time of the year, and that is not keeping things clean. You know, you want to keep things clean. You want to keep things dry. It's just basically just general maintenance. If you do those types of things, you'll have a successful winter.
I mentioned deep nest bedding before, and that's something that's tricky to do. A lot of people practice it, but you do have to stay on top of maintenance with it. For example, I tried to do that with my goats, like the first year that I did goats. And I remember one of the volunteers in the 4-H club told me to keep adding more straw, it'll be fine. It generates more heat. Well, it did generate more heat. However, it was also a breeding ground for coccidia and other bacteria, and my goats were really sick the next year. So it's better, in my opinion, to clean more frequently and replace with good bedding than to let it build up. But some people have found greater success with the deep nest bedding. There's something you just have to research and know what you're getting into before you start it. But keep it on top of maintenance.
Now, the other ones that were built,
You want to make sure that you can, like I say, if you're going to go in deep nest bedding, that you have it's easy to clean it up also. Like if if it's a small coop, a little tight, you don't just keep putting more and more stuff in there until, you've got like 2 feet of bedding in there. Now you're like, okay, now how am I going to clean this out of here? I mean, I can't even hardly bend down to get inside my little chicken house.
That was a mistake.
Let's see if anyone else has a question.
Thank you. The snake story. The snake story is a whole.
No, don't start it now. No, we have to build up. We have to build up to them. That's not. You can't just spring that on them right out of the chute. That one we have to do a little messaging. We'll get a big crowd for that. We might even get Brad in here.
Brad would be a good person to have here for the snake story.
Well, cool, guys. We want to do this again, and we appreciate you coming out. And if you have any questions, we'll be back. I know Pat had technical problems. We'll get her back on. She's a great resource and a great friend of New Country Organics. And you can send questions to info@New Country Organics. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/New Country Organics.
Y'all have a safe Thanksgiving. Enjoy what's coming.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
We'll see y'all. Bye-bye.